join my fellow citizens this morning to welcome and celebrate the new year 2018. This year promises to be far better in our quest for change. Unfortunately, I am saddened to acknowledge that for many, this Christmas and New Year holidays have been anything but merry and happy. Instead of showing love, companionship, and charity, some of our compatriots chose this period to inflict severe hardship on us all by creating unnecessary fuel scarcity across the country. The consequence was that not many could travel, and the few who did had to pay exorbitant transport fares. This is unacceptable, given that NNPC had taken measures to ensure availability at all depots. I am determined to get to the root of this collective blackmail of all Nigerians and ensure that whatever groups are behind this manipulated hardship will be prevented from doing so again. Such unpatriotism will not divert the administration from the course we have set ourselves. Our government's watchword and policy thrust is change. We must change our way of doing things or we'll stagnate and be left behind in the race to lift our people out of poverty and into prosperity. My address to fellow Nigerians this morning is devoted mainly to informing you about intense efforts this administration is putting to address our country's huge infrastructural deficit. We are going to make significant inroads in advancing road, rail, and power projects across the country. The Ministry of Power, Works and Housing is one of the drivers of this government's commitment to renew and increase Nigeria's stock of infrastructure in order to achieve global economic competitiveness as targeted under the Economic Recovery and Growth Plan. With regards to railways, we have set ourselves ambitious targets. Already in construction stage is the Lagos-Kano standard gauge railway. The line should reach Ibadan from Lagos by the end of this year and will carry 2 million passengers per year, and 5 million tons of cargo will be transported every year, giving a substantial boost to the country's economy. Construction of the Kano to Kaduna segment is expected to commence this year and reach Kaduna by the end of 2019. By the end of 2021, the two ends will be joined so that we will have standard gauge railway across the main north-south trading route. The Abuja-Kaduna route will be boosted by additional rolling stock next Thursday and will be able to handle 1 million commuters annually. At the same time, I have approved and negotiations will be concluded in the first part of this year for the Port Harcourt to Maiduguri line covering Aba, Owerri, Umuahia, Enugu, Oka, Abakaliki, Makadi, Lafia, Jos, Bauchi, Gombe, Yola, and Damaturu. The Abuja to Itape line will go through Barrow and terminate in Warri with construction of a new seaport at Warri. Negotiations are also advanced for the construction of other railway lines, firstly from Kano to Maradi in Niger Republic, passing through Kazauri, Daura, Katsina, Jibia to Maradi. Secondly, Lagos to Calabar, the coastal rail, in quote, through Ore, Benin, Abo, Asaba, Onitsha, Sapele, Ughelli, Warri, Yenagoa, Turkey, Port Harcourt, Aba, Uyo, and Calabar. In the next few years, all these Nigerian cities will be linked by functional modern rail systems, giving enormous boost to the social and economic life of our people. With respect to the Abuja Capital Light Rail, progress has reached 98% completion, as at 64% completion when we assumed office. Only test runs remain before start of operations. This train service will stimulate economic activities in the federal capital and provide residents with an efficient and safe transportation system. 12 railway substations around the capital over a 45.2 kilometer route will serve as a catalyst and a full factor to the economy of the area. The light rail system will reduce traffic congestion and carbon emission in line with the administration policy on climate change. Management of Federal Roads Maintenance Agency has been reconstituted and has been charged with a 12-week rapid intervention in road repairs to cover all the geopolitical zones. Government is undertaking repairs and maintenance of 44 roads within the 6 geopolitical zones. 25 major highways will be funded under the 100 billion naira Sukuk facility. Each geopolitical zone will benefit by an equal amount of 16.67 billion naira. The following major highways are to receive sufficient attention: A. Oyo, Obomusho; B. Ofusu, Ore, Aje Bandele, Shagamu; C. Yenagoa Road Junction, Kolo, Otoke, Bayelsa Farm; D. Enugu, Port Harcourt, Dual Carriageway; E. Onitsha, Enugu Expressway; F. Kaduna Eastern Bypass; G. Dualization of Kano Maiduguri Road; H. Dualization of Abuja Lokoja Benin Road; and I. Dualization of Suleja Mina Road. In addition, government has approved work to start on the reconstruction of Abuja, Kaduna, Zaria, Kano Road, which is in a state of disrepair. Work will soon start and is expected to be completed in 2019. More Nigerians across the country are experiencing improved power supply to their homes and businesses. However, power remains a concern to this government because too many people still do not have a regular and reliable supply. The Payment Assurance Guarantee Scheme, which started in January 2016, has enabled the Nigerian bulk electricity trader to raise so far 701 billion naira to assure generation companies of at least 80% payment for any power delivered to the national grid. Consequently, Generation has now reached 7,000 megawatts. On December 8, 2017, the country achieved 5,155 megawatts of power delivered to consumers, the highest level ever recorded. Several Meriban projects have been revived. Repairs of Afan Power Station added 110 megawatts in 2017, and another 240 megawatts will be added this year through a private investment partnership. Katsina Power Project is now being tested and producing 10 megawatts of power from wind for the first time in Nigeria. It should be fully operational this year. The Zungeru 700 megawatts hydroelectric power project, stalled by court cases, is due for completion in 2019. The transmission and other requirements to operate the 30 megawatts Gurara Phase 1 hydroelectric plant, the 40 megawatts Kashimbila hydroelectric plant, and the 215 megawatts Kaduna gas LPG diesel power plant will also be completed this year. A landmark project, Mambila hydroelectric power project, is at last taken off. This project has been on the drawing board for 40 years, but now the engineering, procurement, and construction contract for the 3,050 megawatts project has been agreed with a Chinese joint venture company with a financing commitment from the government of China. Completion is targeted for 2023. As I mentioned earlier, Transmission Company of Nigeria can now distribute all the 7,000 megawatts that can be generated. The Transmission Company of Nigeria and the Niger Delta Holding Company have added 1,950 NVA of 330 down to 132 kV transformer capacity of 10 transmission stations and 2,930 MVA of 132 down to 33 kV transformer capacity of 42 substations, including Ekwatupene, Aba, Alagbon, Ajah, Ijigbo, Funtua, and Zaria. This administration is working with the privatized distribution companies to overcome the continuing challenges of distribution. These massive public works should spearhead the recovery and lead millions back to employment. You will recall that it was not until last year that we got out of the economic recession into which the country had fallen as a consequence of past unsustainable economic policies which projected short-term illusory growth. The government is slowly stabilizing the economy. It was in order to change the steady and steep decline that we adopted the more sustainable policies and programs captured in the economic recovery plan. Diversification efforts have resulted in improved output, particularly in agriculture and solid minerals sectors. The relative exchange rate stability has improved manufacturing sector performance. We have got to get used to discipline and direction in economic management. The days of business as usual are numbered. 2 years ago, I appealed to people to go back to the land. I am highly gratified that agriculture has picked up, contributing to the government's effort to restructure the economy. Rice imports will stop this year. Local rice, fresher and more nutritious, will be on our dishes from now on. By the same token, I am today appealing to enterprising Nigerians with ideas and unemployed graduates and other able-bodied and literate men and women with ideas, not to just sit and wait for employment from the government or the organized private sector. Great nations are built by enterprising people who turn their hands to anything that circumstances dictate. In respect of political developments, I have kept a close watch on the ongoing debate about restructuring in court. No human law or edifice is perfect. Whatever structure we develop must periodically be perfected according to changing circumstances and the country's socio-economic developments. We Nigerians can be very impatient and want to improve our conditions faster than may be possible, considering our resources and capabilities. When all the aggregates of nationwide opinions are considered, my firm view is that our problems are more to do with process than structure. We tried the parliamentary system. We jettisoned it. Now there are shrill cries for a return to the parliamentary structure. In older democracies, these systems took centuries to evolve, so we cannot expect a copied system to fit neatly our purposes. We must give a long period of trial and improvement before the system we have adopted is anywhere near fit for the purpose. However, there is a strong case for a closer look at the cost of government and for the public services long used to extravagance, waste, and corruption to change for the better. I assure you that government is ever receptive to ideas which will improve governance and contribute to the country's peace and stability. As the election season approaches, politicians must avoid exploiting ethnicity and religion by linking ethnicity with religion and religion with politics. Such must be avoided at all costs if we are to live in harmony. In this respect, the rest of Nigeria could learn from the southwestern states who have successfully internalized religion, ethnicity, and politics. Political discourse should be conducted with civility, decorum, and in a constitutional manner. We all have a collective responsibility to strengthen our democracy and entrench the rule of law. We should draw encouragement from the series of by-elections conducted by INEC last year, which were generally violence-free and their outcomes adjudged to be free and fair. Before I conclude my address, I must reassure my fellow citizens that security of life and property is still top of our government's agenda. We have since beaten Boko Haram. Isolated attacks still occur, but even the best policed countries cannot prevent determined criminals from committing terrible acts of terror, as we have seen during the first years in Europe, Asia, Middle East, elsewhere in Africa and America. Our government remains determined to protect all Nigerians in line with our election pledge and promises. On behalf of all Nigerians, let me offer our thanks to the armed forces, the police, other paramilitary forces, and traditional authorities who are working round the clock to ensure that you and I go about our normal businesses in reasonable safety. Terrorism and urban crimes are worldwide phenomena, and our security forces are continuously adopting their responses to changing threats. With regard to rampant cases of kidnappings, we are taking immediate short-term measures to combat this new evil creeping in our societies. Tighter police measures and swift and severe punishment for those proved to be engaged in kidnapping are on the way. With respect to Niger Delta, government is still engaging responsible leadership of the communities to help in identifying and addressing genuine grievances of the region. Our Clean Up program, in collaboration with the United Nations, is making satisfactory progress. I am grateful to all the governors and other political and community leaders of the Niger Delta states for their part in bringing relative peace to the areas. Finally, let me again express my heartfelt thanks to all Nigerians who prayed for me during my illness last year. I feel deeply humbled by your prayers and good wishes, and I am more determined than ever to serve you to the best of my ability. Good morning, and I wish everyone a happy new year.